It's time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally pissed off at what's about to happen to your ear holes. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
Welcome back to Markout Radio. Time for Markout Radio Goes Nitro, episode 65 for December the 9th, 1996, at the Independence Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know what that means. Lots of Horseman shit. Here we go. Jesus. This week, hosted by Tony Schiavone, Larry Zbyszko, Mike Tenay, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. This is the 26th week in a row of doing this fucking bit. Anyways, Nitro wins the ratings war with a 3.3 to Raw's 2.3. 6,382 in attendance and a $73,308 gate. Tony barely gets out of his intro before Piper's theme hits to a nice pop, which gets just a little louder when he gets into the ring and reveals that he's wearing an Carolina Panthers t-shirt and calling Charlotte home, which is, it's true in a roundabout way. He fled Saskatoon and an abusive parental situation there to become a wrestler. And it wasn't really until the early 80s in the Mid-Atlantic territory that he came really into his own with huge feuds with Jack Briscoe and then Ric Flair. This included, obviously, the company that would later become WCW in Jim Crockett Promotions. Now, you might ask yourself, why is Piper not intimidated by other wrestlers? And not just in the kayfabe way, but like legitimately, why isn't he scared of other wrestlers fucking him up or accidentally on purpose hurting him? Well, the answer is simple. He was trained how to shoot wrestle by Stu Hart, and he has his black belt in judo from Gene fucking LaBelle. Now, I know that name for some of you who follow UFC might sound a little familiar, and indeed it should. He was one of the trainers of Ronda Rousey, and say what you will about her crying after she lost, but she can legitimately fight, just can't really pro wrestle. Anyways, LaBelle is actually infamous for one somewhat awesome situation. Now I say somewhat awesome in the way that I say things that are somewhat awesome, which means it's going to be fucked up in most of your opinions. Anyways, LaBelle was infamous for making Steven Seagal shit himself. Exactly. I feel like this needs an explanation at this point, just so I don't sound like I'm into scat or something.
We coming for you,
No,
nigga.
Don't stop. Don't start doing that. Anyways, allegedly, on the set of Out for Justice, LaBelle was the stunt coordinator. According to witnesses, Seagal was going around saying that because of his Aikido training, he couldn't get choked out. Now, listen, I'm going to take a little tangent here for you. Like a lot of kids in the 80s, I was into karate. Years and years after I'd stopped going and attained the dizzying level of a blue belt. Image, if you are watching the video to the side, you can see how awesome I once was as a child. So anyways, apparently, after the karate fad started to die away, an Aikido class started in our small town hall. They wanted the Wednesday night spot because the Wednesday night spot was apparently the popular spot where nobody else had anything going on in town. Anyways, since my karate sensei had that spot booked annually since 1983, the town wouldn't give away their spot to the Aikido class. So I get this call from my fucking karate sensei in the 90s. Yes, the 90s were a different time indeed. Oh, come on. That's not nice. Anyways, apparently the Aikido sensei challenged the karate sensei to a sparring contest where they would get pair up similarly ranked Aikido student with a similarly ranked karate student, and I guess they didn't have any blue belts stupid enough to take him up on it. So anyways, he calls me up, and the winner of most matches would, of course, get the Wednesday night spot. Now, being at the height of my stupid ego teenage years, and of course some would argue that I haven't really moved on from that, which I would agree with you, and I agreed at the time, this match lasted less than fucking 30 seconds. And I'm not saying that as if I'm some sort of badass. The guy I faced was a similar age, similar build, similar skill set in the belts and everything like that. It was just that it's fucking Aikido. All right? Like, the whole premise of Aikido is to use someone's momentum against them, except that if they don't completely commit to the move, you've got nothing and leave yourself open to everything. If you ever want to actually enjoy, this is totally aside from everything I've written, so I apologize, but fuck it. If you ever want to fucking laugh your ass off, go and watch a Steven Seagal Aikido video. You will literally see something akin to a fucking pro wrestling match happening in that ring, because of course they blow him because he is the most famous Aikido practitioner that has ever fucking lived. And of course it doesn't help that he fashions himself after the fucking Buddha Anyways, this match lasted 30 seconds. It featured me blocking 3 throws and then me getting a roundhouse kick to the guy's face. Now, most of the match, see, I'm laughing even now. I'm such a fucking child. Anyways, most of the matches were about this long. Not a single match was won by an Aikido student against fucking Karate Kids. I mean, if all you're going to do is grapple, even LaBelle's going to tell you, you're going to get kicked in the fucking head. Anyways, back to LaBelle. So he offered Seagal the chance to prove that he couldn't be choked out. This happened in front of 30 people. Now, I've got an audio bit here of Seagal telling the story from his perspective. I think we should listen to it, but hold on. I got to set it up for you, okay? Hold on. This is the part that most people, meaning the witnesses, agree upon. All right? Are you ready? All right, here we go. Now, Seagal offered LaBelle his neck. So already, this is awesome.
All right.
Oh, come on. It's just objectively, this is fucking amazing. Thank you. That's better. I mean, anyways, within seconds of Seagal saying go, LaBelle choked him out and he crapped his pants.
Glorious. No, I won't give in. I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
Can you not get me shit canned off of YouTube? I mean, I know they're going after the right ringers right now, but can you not get me shit canned off? They're playing a currently used theme song. Thank you, fucking producer boy. Anyways, so there are 30 witnesses, and the only time this story gets told any differently is when Seagal tells it. Now, when LaBelle is asked about it, he just sloughs it off. He says, there's 30 fucking witnesses. Go ask one of them. It was just a thing and it's over. Like, it wasn't like his claim to fame. It was a thing he did. All right. Now, when Seagal is asked about him though, he gets a little bit defensive. Now, before I throw to this video footage, I'm going to show you. I should note that this is from Fan Expo Canada. Hold on. I got to find the year for you here. 2019, December 11, 2019 is when this was reposted by Martial Arts 101. I believe this was from the summer of 2019 Fan Expo. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me. As always, email the show if you want to correct me on any of this shit. I probably, in most cases, will politely tell you to fuck off. But in some cases, I have actually admitted, oh yeah, I fucked that up. mlrmarkout@gmail.com. All right, anyways. Now, Steven Seagal's scrawl underneath his name here says, actor, producer, screenwriter, martial artist. I think we can all agree on those things. I mean, objectively, we can agree on those things. Musician. Totally fucking musician. Anyways, let's have a listen to what Steven Seagal has to say about our buddy here, Mr. LaBelle.
And, just disgusting.
Well, because we brought it up, I'd love to follow up, if you're comfortable with talking about it. A lot has been said about this portrayal of Bruce Lee in this new Tarantino movie, which, to be fair, I've not seen the movie, but having trained with people who knew him very directly, what I have been told has not been very encouraging about the way that they have portrayed Bruce the Man.
The real question.
So you might be asking yourself, why is he talking about Bruce Lee? And I've thrown this up as a LaBelle thing. It's about to come to fruition on why I threw it up like that. So just listen. They're talking about something completely unrelated. So if you watched, or if you have heard of the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, maybe you've even just seen the footage of Brad Pitt's character kicking Bruce Lee's character's ass. Now, there's some debate about whether or not that actually happened, but let's just for a second, let's just hit pause and think about this for a second. You have stuntmen whose job it is to be in shape at a legitimate badass so that they can pull off stunts and not like get crippled. All right. So a lot like professional wrestlers without the fucking Speedos. All right. So asking an actor who does martial arts to then go one-on-one with somebody that does it on a daily basis, you can see how some people could buy into it. Now, what the guy who's got 36 chins is talking about, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw this up on the video here now. What the guy with the 3 chins here is saying is that the people that he trains with, now listen, I say he has 3 chins because I have additional chins as well, but what he's saying is people he trains with are also sort of backing up that Lee got his ass kicked by a stuntman. Now watch as Seagal takes that and turns that into something about himself. Because remember, Seagal has said that he and Lee fought to a draw. I'm just going to let that hang out there loose and ugly, all right? Now, he's been asked about a movie and a dramatic representation of something that allegedly happened between Bruce Lee and a stuntman back in the day. And somehow, in true Steven Seagal fashion, this is going to be about him. Here we go.
Question is, where did Quentin Tarantino get this idea that, you know, some stunt person beat up Bruce Lee? I personally think it was just some random, you know, writing with people who wrote that, and that there was no rumor behind it, and that's why he wrote it. But I may be very, very wrong. Gene LaBelle, who...
Nobody mentioned Gene LaBelle. No one up until the point where this video starts at 1:55 did anyone mention Gene LaBelle ever. But because Gene LaBelle is one of the names thrown around as allegedly the stuntman that fought Bruce Lee, that's why he's now gone to Gene LaBelle. Because of course he's got to make it about him, and of course he's got to make it about the time that Gene LaBelle kicked his ass too.
Who wants to say that, you know, he's the stunt guy who beat up Bruce Lee. Gene LaBelle is somebody who made his...
Which, by the way, Gene LaBelle never said. Gene LaBelle has gone on record as saying that he and Bruce Lee had some sparring sessions at each other's gyms and taught each other some shit, which I will have a video of as we go forward here. But at no point in Gene LaBelle's career has he ever said, I beat up Bruce Lee. He said that we fought, and that's different. There's a difference between we sparred, meaning we're not trying to kill one another, versus we fought and I beat his ass.
His entire career lying about who he beat up. He beat up Jim Brown. I don't know if you guys know who Jim Brown is, but he was one of the greatest football players in the history of the world.
Okay, so he beat up a football player. He's a martial artist who beat up what? That's, oh, you mean that Mongo got beat up by fucking Twinkie boy Alex Wright? Who would have thought?
And a very, very, very tough, nasty guy if he had to get nasty. And I promise you, Gene LaBelle did not beat him up. But Gene
How the fuck would you know?
LaBelle calls himself Judo Gene LaBelle. We had experts looking.
He is Judo Gene LaBelle because that's what people have called him. That's, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. That's like saying Hulk Hogan goes by Hulk Hogan and not by Terry Bollea. Really? No shit, fucking Sherlock, because that's what people want to call him.
Every Kodokan, Budokan, Judokai, everywhere to see if this guy...
See how he's got to have an accent? You see how he starts talking about all this fucking Asian shit and all of a sudden he's got an accent? By the way, nice shirt.
I had one black belt. We couldn't find one. And what everybody came back to me and said is he's never even studied judo. So he walked...
Oh, yeah, no. He's never studied judo, except that he's a judo master. He's trained MMA fighters. He's trained professional wrestlers. He's trained stuntmen. He owns his own company that trains stuntmen. He's widely acknowledged for the last 50 fucking years in Hollywood as a fucking master at fucking... at all this shit. And by the way, not for nothing, he was one of the stunt coordinators on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And where was Steven Seagal when this was going on? Oh, that's right. Filming another C movie in fucking Russia, which is the only place that wants to have him.
Walks around telling everybody he's Judo Gene LaBelle. Tells everybody he beat me up. He choked me out. You know, he beat up Bruce Lee. He choked out Bruce Lee.
Never said that.
He went to some big, fight somewhere where there's some people fighting in the audience, and
Oh yeah, no, he went somewhere where some people were fighting in an audience. Yeah, no, absolutely. That sounds legit, right?
they were endangering people, so he beat up one of them and killed him, and he had to go into hiding. I mean, the guy is a pathological liar.
He killed him and went into hiding. So he killed a guy with his bare hands and then was scared of someone? Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, keep going.
And I personally do not think that Gene LaBelle ever beat up anybody. And if he did, it's not,
It definitely wasn't Bruce Lee.
it wasn't Bruce Lee. And I was very, very close friends with James Coburn and saw Bruce over at James's house many, many times. And I can tell you for sure, Bruce is also the kind of
Saw him over at his house. No, I'm like, what is deep down in his soul from having spent time at James Coburn's house in the same vicinity as Bruce Lee. Jesus fucking Christ.
guy
Like
that Gene LaBelle did not choke out or beat up. So for me, it's very disappointing that, people in Hollywood can make their lives by making up bullshit, to try to make themselves something that they're not.
ooh, that's like shooting on yourself. All right, now, like I said, he's a stuntman and a judo master. He's fucking hideous. He's not going to get into a movie as a fucking leading man. It doesn't matter how many different camera angles they use. But that being said, Ronda Rousey, I mentioned earlier, has heat with Seagal over this whole thing. And I guess she won't get included in one of his C-level action flicks, Anyways, this is what she has to say about Seagal and his claim that LaBelle didn't kick his ass.
Be forced to do so. Of course I would. I had to make him crap his pants a second time.
There you go. I mean, that I'd pay money to see that, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Now, because Seagal brought it up and compared the story of Bruce Lee getting beat up by a stunt guy in this fucking movie and compares it to his altercation with LaBelle, of course, he's got to make it all about himself. He insinuates that LaBelle and Lee once have heat, and then he outright says it. But that scene was a dramatization, and perhaps it was a dramatization of something that legit happened between LaBelle and Lee, though neither of them appeared to hold a grudge. But anyways, they did have sparring sessions where they taught each other some things. That being said, he goes on, does Seagal, to say that LaBelle says that he taught Lee, that Lee called him his teacher, which of course never happened. You've got Bruce Lee enthusiasts who claim that LaBelle says that he taught Bruce Lee everything he knows, which of course he didn't. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyways, now let's see what this horrible liar who claims to have choked out Steven Seagal and claims to have beaten up Bruce Lee. Let's see what he has to say about the Bruce Lee thing.
Talk about the Green Hornet.
The Green Hornet. With Bruce Lee. That's when I first met Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is a world-class martial artist.
Oh, how dare he?
Wonderful guy.
Gee, slander. Jesus.
And the fellow that ran the stunts on it told me, hey, this guy that drives the car wants to do all the fights, and the actor isn't athletic and he doesn't want to do it, so this Chinese guy wants to do it. So we want somebody that knows that martial arts can take falls for him.
So, essentially being hired to be a stuntman to work alongside Bruce Lee. There's a couple scenes where he's kicking his ass. There's some highlight reels on YouTube you can find if you search Bruce Lee LaBelle.
So I ended up working for the Green Hornet, doing a lot of the shows, and I got close to Bruce Lee, and he came down to my school and worked out for over a year privately, and I went and worked out with him at his school.
Oh, so not his teacher, somebody you learned some stuff from. Oh, interesting. Well, that's,
And I taught him judo and wrestling and stuff like that, and some finishing holds, which he later worked in some movies. And he showed me a lot of his kicks and striking, which even today I use in the movies. A wonderful, wonderful man and a great martial artist.
Jesus, what a monster. I mean, God, he's taking credit for everything. Oh, right. No, he didn't do any of that shit. Oh, now I gotta ask you, who are you gonna believe? The guy who's Putin's bitch, or a guy that legitimately looks like his nose got broken about 30 or 40 times? Exactly, that's what I thought. Now, all of this side travel is so that you can understand who taught Piper judo and why Piper isn't scared of wrestlers trying to shoot or hook on him. They always fall short. Unfortunately, the reason why I took this trip down memory lane with Mr. Lobel is because this promo was fucking horrible. There was something about being ashamed of taking a dive in a movie, boxing match, and his kid, who he can't remember the name of, saying that he shouldn't fight Hogan. I mean, he did manage to get the crowd back by subtly calling the NWO gay, which got a pop, which, again, the 90s truly, truly were a different time. The production team queued up his music after he called out Hogan, and he took the cue, got out of the ring, but fuck's sakes. I mean, I'm a Piper mark, but God, that was a garbage fucking promo. Don't worry, though. As the show goes on, things get better for our boy Piper. Afterwards, Tony calls Piper a man's man, which Larry includes himself in that category of being a man's man. Nice little bit of heel commentator heat there. After this, we end up with Michael Wallstreet defeating Big Mike Enos and
0.0.
Here's the thing. Normally, both of these guys are booked into jobber matches. So I was looking forward to an actual wrestling match from two guys that can actually wrestle, because that's what Sullivan claims that he likes to do, until DiBiase comes down and it becomes a fucking job match for Enos, and Wallstreet is offered an NWO contract. Now, the reason why this entire match pisses me off and why it gets a 0.0 is that I was ready to watch a wrestling match to kick off the card, like I said, as Sullivan claims that he always does. And as the booker of the opening and mid-card, I was expecting a fucking wrestling match because, again, even today, Sullivan claims that that's what he likes to do to kick off a match or to kick off a show, is to actually have a wrestling match. So there, pissed off there. Everyone at WCW in kayfabe has 30 days, 16 of which are left, by the way, to convert their contracts from WCW contracts to NWO contracts. So what difference does it fucking make if Ted DiBiase comes down and offers a contract to one of them? They both have to have NWO contracts within 2 weeks. What the fuck are you even talking about? Enos, to be my last point of why I hated this match, is now getting too fat for Tanny to cover up. Yes, I know, that was horrible. No, it was not. That wasn't nice. Calling people fat's not nice. Turn that down. Jesus. Thank you. Speaking of Sullivan, when we come back from break, Tony has some footage for us of something that he showed Sullivan on Saturday night and his reaction to it. Jesus fucking Christ. The shoot that they keep trying to turn into a work so they can keep putting on a television. Anyways, after the footage of Chris and Nancy at a restaurant drinking wine and really getting disturbingly and uncomfortably personal, we go to Saturday night and a rebuttal by Kevin Sullivan and Jimmy Hart, who just walk away. Tony points out that now it's gotten too personal. It's been personal for over a fucking year. Now it's just fucking cringeworthy. I know that it's an ongoing joke that pro wrestling is a male soap opera, but sometimes, Jesus fuck, there are storylines that even, I don't know what people think when they put the storyline together. It's just too fucked up to put on the air. Like, for example, when WWE had Mae Young give birth to a fucking hand. After this, Hugh Morrus defeats Renegade with Joe Gomez in his corner. I gave that one 2.5 out of 5. If you mute the commentary, it's a pretty solid match. Unfortunately, Tony and Larry both spent the whole match putting the heel, Hugh Morrus, over. There are two people in the first hour. One is the straight guy, one is the color. The color guy is the heel commentator. The straight guy is supposed to be on the side of the right. And in this match, the Renegade, because we're still in the 90s, is supposed to be the face. Jesus. To be fair, Morrus made Renegade look like he could actually wrestle in this match, but then Renegade wouldn't know what to do between moves and would just sort of strut around the ring, pumping his arms, I guess. It looked like he was having a seizure. This match gets the PlayStation slow-mo replay of Morris's spinning wheel kick and the no laughing matter moonsault finisher. Oh, of course, he gets a fucking name for a finisher.
We coming for you, nigga!
Post-match, Sullivan comes back and cuts a promo on Shivani. It started off awesome, but then he started repeating himself and running out of steam, and it fell apart. That's two promos now that started great and then just fucking self-destructed. After the commercial break, we get an intern-produced Sting vignette, which tells us nothing. There's a Gene Rant promo with Kevin Green after this, mostly just to get a pop from the crowd. The Panthers would go on to lose to Green Bay, who would go on to win Super Bowl 31, though admittedly, the Panthers did have a good season in 96-97. After this, Dean Malenko defeats Jimmy Graffiti to retain the WCW World Cruiserweight Championship. 3.5 out of 5 for that little sucker. Jimmy Graffiti, what a dad who's trying to look cool with his teenage kids would dress like in the 90s. There's a commercial break here during the match, and thank you. Sonny Ono comes out during the break to take photos of Malenko again, leaning into the racial stereotype while scouting Malenko for Dragon. There was some feedback on the commentators' headsets because no one remembered to turn off Sullivan's fucking microphone, and we finally get to watch a wrestling match after almost an hour into the fucking live broadcast. No, they get noted off for that. What the fuck? We're waiting an hour to get a match out of him? Anyways, post-match, Gene is on the ramp with Sonny Ono. Gene takes Ono to task, and then Sonny lets his accent slip and explains why his accent is now slipping before giving his prediction on the Malenko Dragon match coming up at Starrcade. It was whatever. Jesus, it was uncomfortable because it echoes what happens these days. Anyways, after this, the Faces of Fear, Ming and Barbarian with Jimmy Hart defeat the Nasty Boys. 2.5 out of 5. There's a recap to start this match off of the 3-team match for World War III to set this one up. The match starts off with a lot of side-by-side picture of the action as one of each of the teams would fight somewhere around the ring. Once things looked a little more in control, the NWO came out to a ton of heat from the Horseman Mark audience. While the ref was distracted with pretty much everything, the Faces of Fear worked over Sags. Hart takes a bump over the top rope. Nobs eats a megaphone and then eats the pin for this one. After this, Gene does a rant promo with Ric Flair, who comes out to the Horseman theme and not his own. Then he gets cut off abruptly instead of faded out as the Piper theme song kicks in. So, Jesus Christ. After putting over Kevin Green, Rick calls Piper out to put him over, as well as they're leading up to Starrcade, so might as well. This one was a much better promo than anything done to this point in the night. And yes, perhaps it was something to do with Flair. He's had goose eggs in the past, but this one was excellent. Piper turns down Horseman help, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering the NWO is in the picture, but it does suit his gimmick. Back from break, we start hour 2. Get to relive Piper's shittier promo from earlier that night. That sets nothing up for what's coming next, just to eat up some time. Chris Jericho defeats Bobby Eaton. I gave that one 2 out of 5. There's some side-by-side promo from Jericho during this match. Overall, it's basically a jobbing effort from Eaton. However, Heenan is shot out of a cannon tonight on commentary. Throwback footage to Sting and Rick Steiner over the last few weeks to set up to a rant promo with Gene, with Rick and his brother Scotty. The theme music interrupts a fairly decent promo. The only downside here is that it's all a setup for nothing. After this, we get a Luger vignette put together by the A-Team and the production staff, followed by Arn Anderson with Steve Mongo McMichael and Deborah McMichael defeating Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman. I gave that one 2.5 out of 5. Pittman rocking a top lip warmer and no Teddy Long this week. The only thing I could think of when Anderson came out is, God, I hope nobody gives fucking Deborah a microphone. I mean, I really was getting nervous when she got into the ring, and don't get me wrong, we're going to get tortured later, but for now we're okay. There's another side-by-side promo, this time with Sullivan breaking kayfabe as he blames Nancy leaving him on Arn, bringing up Arn's real wife's name, and bringing up Arn's fucking kid's name in the fucking promo and blaming Nancy opening her legs for Benoit on Arn because I guess Arn was holding her legs during this whole altercation. I don't know. What the fuck do you even say to that? Don't get me wrong. It leans into the distressed husband gimmick, and that's fine, but don't think we had to break kayfabe to get there. This is supposed to put over the Sullivan-Anderson match next week on Nitro. Mike Tenay is the latest that thinks that this is starting to sound awfully personal. Jesus.
We coming for you, nigga!
Tony teases more footage to piss off Sullivan with next week as we go to break. Back from break, Mongo nails Pittman with the briefcase within millimeters of the ref. But just in case you missed how blind this ref is, here is a slow-mo replay for good measure so you can see just how shit this ref really is. After this, we get a Gene rant promo with Anderson, Mongo, and Deborah. Anderson's good. Deborah gets the stick and earns heat from a pro Horseman crowd. I mean, that takes a lot of skill. You're in a pro Horseman town. You've just had the current lead Horseman on the stick. You had the actual leader of the Horseman on the stick earlier, both getting huge pops. Mongo's actually getting a good pop. And Deborah's the one getting heat. And no, it's not because it's the South and men are sexist. It's because she's a fucking irritating crone. And Jesus, of all of the all the kayfabe breaking, all the fourth wall tearing down, it's not even funny. It's like, at least when Deadpool does it, it's funny. Jesus Christ. And again, everything that Deborah said in this promo will come back and bite her in the ass in less than 18 months when she starts fucking Austin. Back from break, we get a legit ton of high fives. Go ahead, watch it back. You'll see what I mean. I'm really not that clever. That golden voice bastard is back. Lee Marshall, he weighs in via the 1-800-COLLECT gimmick before throwing Heenan some shade, which Heenan again tries to throw back, but of course Tony buries it. DDP defeats Jeff Jarrett in another qualifier match for the WCW US Championship title tournament. DDP gets a hell of a pop here. I gave this match 4 out of 5. Jarrett gets heat for doing Flair's strut, and we've completely moved past his involvement with the Horsemen in favor of this Benoit, Nancy Sullivan, goddamn bullshit. Two guys now in this match who know how to work a crowd, and we interrupt this match for a promo of Starrcade and a commercial break. Sweet. Thanks, guys. Back from break, the Outsiders come out. Nash distracts the ref, while Hall gives Jarrett the razor's edge, allowing DDP to advance to the final in the tournament. It is not the worst idea to further the gimmick of DDP possibly joining the NWO or the NWO courting DDP. However, because I just want to shit on everything apparently, if you hit pause for a second and think this through, there's just one tiny little problem. And his name is the Giant. Last week, while the NWO were in control of the broadcast, Eric said that the Giant would relinquish the belt if he gets the first shot at the new champ, which, if the Outsiders get their way, will be their new NWO member, DDP. Giant will never get a shot at Hogan, even though he just won World War III. Are they going to give him a shot against DDP that they just talked into joining their gang? I mean, poor Giant. He's the biggest guy in the fucking sport, and no one pays attention to him in the booking committee. Post-match, in-ring promo with Gene and DDP talking about the Outsiders. DDP wants the NWO to stop calling him like some desperate broad in heat. Absolute fucking gold. After this, the match of the night, or the main event of the night, was supposed to have been Rick Steiner versus Scott Norton. Rick's music hits, Piper comes out, and they cut Rick's promo music and put on Piper's. Piper takes off his jacket. Some ring whore wants the jacket. He literally puts it on the other side. He calls Hogan out again, sits in the middle of the ring in a steel chair as the NWO theme hits. Eric comes out with the cheesy alternate universe goatee. Yes, I understand. I am also rocking one, but I don't not rock one, if you catch my meaning. As Eric makes his way down to the ring, someone throws an empty cup at him. While the camera goes back to Piper, somebody throws a full cup of water at him. The ring begins to fill up with garbage as Eric takes off the sock of the microphone, which would allow us to hear him in all his mouth-breathing glory as he tries to cut a promo on Piper, which goes over like a lead balloon. And not because it's a fucking North Carolina audience, but because Eric sucks on the fucking microphone. As Eric turns his back on him, Piper clocks him from behind and then grabs the chair to fend off the NWO as they come out. Kevin Green comes down to protect Piper's back, and the roof blows off of the building. At this point, the show officially ends, but the network, and don't get me wrong, I will give WWE heat when they deserve heat, but the network has added in the post-match action as a quote-unquote exclusive, which I can't remember where it was aired, but it actually was aired at the time. It could have been on TBS. I don't know for sure, though. Anyways, they added in the post-match action when Piper continues to fend off the NWO with Green, while Arn and Mongo slide into the ring to lend a hand. The crowd is going ballistic. Nash knocks over the first hour announcer's desk because he bails out after Mongo nails him with a briefcase. Everything ends sort of with the NWO scurrying back up the ramp. And really, at this point, Green is sort of down the walkway talking shit, so he's not in the ring. And I don't know if he's not trying to steal thunder or if he just doesn't know where he should be. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Arn and Mongo are in the ring and both give props to Piper. Now, I will say this. The show this week started off weak. The first few promos were absolute garbage. Going into hour 2, though, the show got much better. The promos were better, the matches are better, and they were performed better. The first match and the first promo dragged hour 1 down and left me pretty much hating the first half of the show until Flair's promo brought me back in, which I imagine is true for most people watching this. Overall, like I said, a much better Nitro. I gave it 3.5 out of 5, and that's really all I can say about the show this week. It was observedly better than it has been in weeks. And we are building up to Starrcade, which is WCW's version of, well, I shouldn't say it's WCW's version of WrestleMania because they were first, weren't they?
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.